Hi everyone, today I'm going to teach you about allusions and flashbacks and how to use them in your writing. So we're going to start off with allusions. An allusion is a passing, casual mention of something well known, either directly or by implication. So in other words, an allusion is a brief reference to something that's well known. It can reference a person, literary work, history, events, etc. Really anything that's well known or famous. Now we're going to look at a couple of examples to start you off. Why are you acting like such a Romeo? This example of an allusion is a reference to Shakespeare's play Romeo and Juliet. This allusion tells the reader that the person is acting romantically. Even though the word romantic was never said in the quote, Romeo is known to be a very romantic character. So by comparing the person to Romeo, they're describing them as romantic. Did you hear that? I'm surprised their nose isn't growing. This allusion is a reference to Pinocchio, because when he lies, his nose starts to grow. This allusion tells the reader that the person is lying. Why use allusion? Allusions allow the reader to fill in the blanks instead of being told exactly what's going on. It makes them more involved in the reading process. So instead of being told exactly what's going on all the time, the reader can fill in the blanks or connect the puzzle pieces of what the author is saying with the help of allusions. Here are some don'ts to writing allusions. Do not explain the allusion, since the point of an allusion is to make the reader figure it out for themselves in a way. Explaining the allusion defeats its purpose. Do not explain where the reference comes from, because again, giving too much information defeats the purpose of the allusion. The author assumes that the reader understands the allusion. Be careful while writing allusions. Choose a reference that is appropriate for the target audience. So, because you're not explaining the allusion afterwards, you have to pick a reference that's appropriate for your target audience. So for example, if you're writing a children's book, you shouldn't pick a reference from something like The Hobbit, because there's a very slim chance that the child will understand. How to identify an allusion? Think about what comes from another text, or anything else really. Is there a name or the name of a place that comes to mind that's from something else? Is it briefly mentioned? If it is, then it's probably an allusion. Now we're going to move on to flashbacks. A flashback is an explanation of events that happened prior to the present narration. So in other words, it brings the reader back to the past to explain to them something that happened then. Flashbacks often explain a character's past or gives the story context. That's not what they always do. They often come in the form of blunt inserts, dreams, or vivid memories. Now we're going to look at a couple of examples of a flashback. In The Outsiders, Johnny carries a knife. There's a flashback that shows that Johnny was once jumped. With the help of the flashback, the reader now understands more about Johnny and why he carries the knife, and that's for protection. So now the reader can feel closer to the character because they know that piece of them. Now we're going to look at an example of a flashback that's in the form of a memory. As a baker is opening up shop for the day, she remembers baking cookies with her grandmother as a little girl. She smiles at the memory and flips the open sign. Here, the reader understands more about the character and maybe even why the character became a baker in the first place. How to identify a flashback? Verb tense may change during a flashback. They don't always do, that's the author's choice, but it might. Look out for character descriptions. Since a flashback is in the past, characters are most likely going to be described differently, maybe in the way they look or in the way they act. Often, a flashback is emotional for a character, especially if it's a flashback in the form of a memory like we saw in the last example. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this video helped you understand more about allusions and flashbacks. If you're ever stuck while writing, just refer to your quick sheet.